Alan Scott, Green Lantern issue 2, Tim Sheridan writing with Cian Tormey on the art. So, I was very mixed on the first issue of this. I liked the story overall and what it was doing, but Tim Sheridan's writing, I've not been into it in previous attempts to read his stuff, and I found it very wordy. So I wanted to give at least issue 2 a try. Gorgeous front cover as well, might I add. It's just the it's Alan sitting in Arkham Asylum, but it's just the green light, but with the shadow of the gate up against him. Really, really nice stuff. So sadly, I feel kind of similar about this issue, which is I like the story. I like everything it's telling me that's going on, and this idea that he self-checked in to the wing at Arkham Asylum to, basically stamp the gay out of him, right? To fix himself.
Yeah. Because he felt his one true love is gone, therefore, if he's going to be able to be fixed, it's going to be now.
Yeah.
And then realizes just how corrupt that process is.
Yeah, it tells
go ahead.
Yeah, it tells the story of him befriending the other people who are there, who did not come here voluntarily. They were put in here by their families or even by the state, because it's definitely illegal in this time to be gay and whatever. And him befriending a trans woman who is not allowed to be trans, who's being told constantly that he is a he, and that basically it seems like eventually gets a lobotomy to try and cure. And again, cure in quotations here.
Yeah.
So
that character, and just being a Spitfire, the character's name is Billy, and just being a Spitfire and kind of reminding Alan, just like, you are who you are, just be who you are, and just the fate that they ultimately meet, and just the horror that go on Alan's face. That's really the part of the issue that really resonated with me, and I wish the rest of it did, because once he gets out of Arkham and it just starts retelling the Green Lantern origin, it gets super murky, and I have not that I don't know any idea what's going on, it just kind of felt all over the place, and there wasn't that clear storytelling of the Arkham and him bonding with all of these people,
I actually like all of the story well enough. It's just the heavy narration, the heavy speech bubbles. There's just those pages where you get to them and there's just so many boxes to read, and it's not even the amount that's the problem in and of itself, because other writers can be relatively wordy. I mean, Tom King's Wonder Woman, we talk about that, how that's very dense, but everything flows really well. So even though it is a bit of a denser read and it takes a little bit longer, you tend to be, we both seem to tend to be really into it as we're reading it. Whereas with Tim Sheridan's writing, I constantly feel like I'm wanting to not read the next box, and I get kind of distracted very easily, and it doesn't take a lot to pull me out of the story, and it's really frustrating, because I really want to enjoy an Alan Scott story, and I think it's doing some interesting things with the time period and not pulling punches with all the homophobic stuff that he's having to put up with. This idea that when his military commander found out that he was in a relationship with was it Johnny, was his boyfriend?
Yeah.
Basically because Alan helped save them all, out of respect, they didn't do anything immediately, but they said, but once you get back to shore, you have to go and fix this, and that's why, that's what set him on this path to go to Arkham and do all this. I think the story that it's telling is really great, and getting the build up to the new version of the origin with the train crash, which was always part of his origin, but now there was he was having romances and flings on the train and stuff like that. So there's a lot more build up to it, but he's basically telling all this to his friend in not present day, but in the
3 years in the future, right?
Okay, I get they wanted to write that he had an accent, but I thought they laid it on a bit thick.
I hated reading it.
Yeah.
It was like reading Bizarro without any of the charm.
Look, I get that you want to get across that he's saying Moida, but to actually spell it as MOID, AR or whatever, it's just annoying to read. I didn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So
every time it came to that guy, I just skipped over his dialogue. I was like, I'll piece it together because I hate reading it. And like when they write Bibbo kind of talks like that, but it's more like kind of that rough Scrabble, kind of like The Thing, where he shortens words, you know, and it's like Superman, so they'll write, you know, Supah. But this was laying it on thick, and I was like, I don't like reading it. So I would see the little cabbie hat. I'm like, all right, I'm skipping that. I'll fill it in later. I mean, that's why I got a little bit confused towards the end. It's just the whole lantern talking to him and the whole crimson flame versus the green flame. I think that's a nice take on the Starheart mythos, because it's talking about balance, right?
yeah, well, so to be specific here. He, like him and his men, when he was in the military, were looking and investigating what was basically the Crimson Flame, and he speculates that the Green Flame reached out to him, you know, for whatever reason. But I think the interesting part of this origin to me is that he was actually investigating the Crimson Flame, and it's like the Green Flame, to achieve balance, like chose him as an avatar to be like, hey, okay. Like, you're the good person who's near all this. You should be the one who sort of gets the power to fight it, kind of thing. Yeah. But I think it's interesting because, you know, so much when it comes to superheroes, even if you take, like, you know, the regular Green Lantern stuff from later with Hal, and, you know, it's the green power that he ends up discovering and finds him. It's all very much kind of... Like, yeah, there's still the element where the ring picks him because he's the right person for the job, but... He encounters the Green Lantern first. I kind of like the idea of a hero encountering the villain first, or the villainous force in this case, before, and then that leads to him becoming the hero, kind of thing. I don't know. It's just it's a little bit flipped from how it's normally done, and I kind of appreciate that. Yeah,
I like that, and I hope that it really plays off of, because, you know, Alan Scott's not a traditional Green Lantern with the hope and all that stuff. It's more magic based, but I hope they lean in the courage that, like, he's taking the courage to be himself in a time where it actually is dangerous.
Yeah.
You know? That's also why the green...
It's funny that we keep saying he's not a traditional Green Lantern when he was first, but our perception of what a Green Lantern is has changed so much because of what was established after him, but yeah. Right,
because the Gardner Fox came in and said, we're not doing trains, we're doing space, you know, and all that stuff. But yeah, the fact that he's living, you know, he's attempting to live his true life in a time where it's very dangerous to do that. And I'm hoping that's what, you know, and it's his care for other people as well, like Billy, the trans woman. That's what's making it click for him. That's why the green flame is drawn to him. It's his soul. It's his star heart, if you will. That's calling to it. You know, it's not giving the green flame a choice on who to pick. It's just, and so I like that. I just, like you're talking about the overwriting. I just was like, that took me forever to read because I didn't want to read it. You know?
Yeah. And there's maybe just a few too many characters being mentioned in the last couple of pages, which is a shame because I actually like this idea of like, okay, whoever this villain is who's got the red flame, it's someone who knows him, it's someone who knows a lot of these people from his past. But he kind of casually mentions a few different people from his past, particularly someone he had a fling with after he left Arkham, which I felt like, okay, I think I know who you're talking about because you mentioned it earlier on the issue, but it just, you know, it was a little bit just too many things going on and stuff then again. But I do appreciate this issue was more focused than the last one, but I think reading this convinced me that I don't think I'm going to enjoy reading any more of this, despite the fact that I like this story and I like the character. So sadly, I think I'm done with this book now.
Depending on what drops next week, if we have stuff around next month when it comes out, I'm open to reading the third one. If I'm slammed, like it was like this week, and I could drop a book justifiably, I probably will.
Yeah, I just don't like Tim Sheridan's writing, and you know, not that I've read much from Tim Sheridan, but I read at least one of the shorts that he did with Tim Drake before the ongoing or the miniseries launched, and didn't really like that either. So I just don't think the way he writes just isn't for me, I don't think.
Yeah, because the other things he did, what, Titans Academy? I just pulled it up.
Oh yeah, I tried that
He
and wanted to like
yeah
that and couldn't either.
he co-wrote with Johnson Adams Flashpoint Beyond, which we liked Flashpoint Beyond for the most part.
That's true, but there's other writers in the mix there.
But there's other writers, so yeah, I'm trying to look at some of the other stuff that I've read from him, like his Shazam book that came out of Titans Academy. I tried and it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
so,
again, I read one issue, wasn't for me. So it clearly there's a trend here of just not liking his writing. But hey, all right, what are you rating Alan Scott Green Lantern issue 2?
I'm gonna give a 7 because the art is still pretty strong. There's a lot to like, but
yeah, are solid.
You know, it just misses. Yeah.
Yeah, I am going with a 6. It's like I'll give it just over the halfway point because, like you say, the art's still solid. I think the story concepts are still pretty good, and I was interested in reading them, but I just think it was a bit of a chore to actually get through. So yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yep.